This is Asvardual, and welcome to an exciting new edition of my game development live stream. Today we're working on Sara the Shieldmage. It's a side-scrolling action platformer with some RPG elements, and well, we're going to be just doing a little bit more on the game today. Now, right here, I've got my Hall of Spikes test scene, and for those of you who have been watching, you'll notice it looks a little bit different than before. It's got all these nice colored crystals. Um, they were just some decoration I added partway through the week after I'd done a round of my testing. But I've also done some other things with my prototype as well. Go ahead and start running right quick. Yeah, so the first thing, whoa, that was interesting. The first thing is I changed the mana regeneration effect, and I also made blocks fade a little faster, but I also made mana regenerate faster. However, I made sure there was a bigger difference between how long it takes for mana to regenerate and how long your block stays. Mana regenerates every 3 seconds, blocks last 4.5 seconds, so that speeds up the play a little bit. Yeah, so that's a thing. The crystals, there's not really a lot to say about them. They're just a simple sprite. Um, some of them have lights. The ones that have 2 spires on them, those are the ones that actually cast light. I just realized partway through that the shadow is perfectly aligned when running to the right, but when running to the left, her shadow is a little bit misaligned. It's a small thing. I also fixed the camera, the trigger that stops the camera, so that you can go all the way to the very end and you won't, be out here in the boondocks somewhere. Right, so there's a few things though that I need to do to this to make the game a little bit better. I definitely think adding the crystals to the test level helped a little bit. There's 2 things we're going to be doing tonight, and it has to do with some of the feedback from my testing earlier this week. A couple of my commenters on GameJolt noted that um, the block fade effect was a little bit on the confusing side. I'm not 100% certain of this, but I do want to test this idea by actually trying to do what they said and make the block flash and fade a couple of times, like 3 times or something, before the block finally fades. To do that, I'm going to need a brand new script. So guess what? You get to see some coding tonight. I'm going to go ahead and go ahead and create a brand new script, a flashing decay effect. Let's get started. And for those of you just joining my stream, welcome. Yeah, so I'm really happy with the way the crystals turned out. That's probably one of the best things for the looks of my game that has happened in a while. Okay, let me close everything except for this new effect. And let's go ahead and make this a debuggable behavior. There we go. That's a lot better. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to create the basic behavior. Okay, actually, before I go much further, I do also need my decaying effect as a reference, because there's some things that I want to copy over just to make my life a little bit easier. Okay. Definitely want all those private variables. Definitely want... Actually, I want all of that void start. It's kind of useful. let's see. Check expiration. That's kind of useful. Actually, I'm going to make that a private. There we go, because not everything else needs to have access. Actually, come to think of it, that doesn't need to be. And then this is going to form the, this right here is going to form the backbone of the behavior, and that should be nearly everything. All right, so first thing that's going to happen is we're going to comment out this. All right, so here's the plan. With this sort of flashy behavior, what we sort of want to do, I'm going to go ahead and need some lines of comments for this, is we're going to want something that does this sort of thing. Actually, yeah, that's right. So yeah, all these little asterisks I'm putting on my screen, these are a visual aid. Oh, good morning, Crystalline Entertainment. How's it going? Oh, and Crystalline Entertainment, that's right, I forgot to mention. I am sorry I did not get back to you this week. The reason I did not get back to you on the story stuff last week was because I figured I needed to do some homework of my own. I picked up a book on storytelling and script writing, and so far it is sort of helping me. I really felt that before that I might have jumped the gun actually on the storytelling stuff last episode. I wanted to go ahead and do my homework first and try to write something and then get back in touch with you, because this week if I tried to ask you about story stuff, it would have been less me asking for help and me just not knowing what in the good Lord's good name I'm doing. So I decided to avert that for now and try to learn a little bit more about script writing. I got a really good book. It's called Character Development and Story Writing for Games. It's a $45 book, but so far what I've read of it is really, really useful. I definitely recommend it. Okay, so um, yeah, but I do appreciate you pitching in, and I intend to ask for input a little bit later on in the lifespan of the game. Yeah, with that out of the way though, yeah, this is sort of the pattern that we want to do. I want to have this sort of fade, and then yeah, fade, then peak, then peak, then peak any number of times. So what I need to do though is I need to go ahead and write a method, or write mathematics that will let me sort of generate this descending sawtooth wave. A equals, well, no, this is just a placeholder for right now. So one of the things that I want to do, not pubic, oh god, that's middle schooler coding, by the way. You know, pubic int. Okay, that's enough. I'm going to go ahead and plan for it to take 3 flashes. Oomph, oomph, oomph. After the 3rd flash, it dies. And then I want to also create an amount of time for every flash. So I'm going to say so I'm going to do something like that. And then finally, decay. And I'm going to want to also go ahead and decay the flashes as it goes on, so it makes it a little bit more clearer on a visual basis. Hey, this thing's going away, you might want to move soon. So, and this is going to be a multiplier. So what's going to happen is it's probably going to be something, I can change these values in the editor, so I guess it doesn't really matter. But yeah, let's go ahead and try this. Okay, so we have something to check the expiration. We have, this is going to be a little bit different. Private duration. And this is going to be flash interval times number of flashes. Very simple. This is what's called a property if you don't do a lot of coding. It's a nice, elegant way of sort of wrapping a function to make it look like it's a variable, only it's not. In C#, you can do something like this. You could do this, and what will happen is you can wind up doing something like, you could do something like that, or you could use the getter just to retrieve the variable whenever you want. I'm not going to do this with the set. All I'm doing is a getter. It's just going to ease the process of doing the math. Under the hood, though, what happens is a property. This is what you. That's what this sort of setup is known when you have like a getter and a setter method. This actually compiles to a method behind the scenes. So I could have just written a method. This syntax is just a little bit shorter and a little bit easier to use. So that's why I'm doing that. Right, so that's going to take care of the start method here. But what I need to start off go ahead and create a new method called flash fade. Flash fade. There we go. Right. So I also need some new backing. Need some new backing fields behind this. Remaining flashes. There we go. Equals number of flashes. And then I'm also going to need another float. That's, yeah, current alpha strength. There we go. And, yeah, okay. Whatever. You can go ahead and do that. Right. So pretty much what's going to happen at this point, I could make it flash all the way from alpha of 1.0. That's where it's just completely solid. I guess that's the right thing to do. Seems like it would be the right thing to do. Let's try it. Actually, need another backing field. Okay. Next flash equals spawn time plus flash interval. There we go. So if time less than or equal. You see, time.time is greater than or equal to next flash, then what I'm probably going to want to do is remaining flashes decrement. That's just a fancy way of saying remaining flashes equals remaining flashes minus 1. I also want to reset the alpha. Actually, I'm not sure I need flash strength decay yet. I don't think I need it. I can mess with that later. But I will have to do something like, yeah, I have to do something. I can't just do my fancy little disqualifying if statement. That's not going to work. Go ahead and plan to do that. Actually, no, I don't need to return out of it. What I need to do is need to move this down here. To move this into here. May as well just get rid of that entirely. Date. That's our every frame hook. So going to check expiration and flash fade. So there we go. Not too much. It's really not structurally too different from the standard decaying effect. The difference is that, well, yeah, it's sort of different. Okay, so I do sort of still need this. Except what I'm going to do and need two variables. I'm going to need a fade rate and an initial alpha that I can configure however I want. That way I don't have to write code changes so often. There we go. Because okay, what should happen is this should go ahead and upfront properly predict how much time it's going to take to do all of the flashes, and then for every single one of these flashes, it will ramp down. It'll ramp down following our fade formula. When it gets beyond a certain point, though, it'll return to the initial alpha state and then return it. So that should, yeah, that should work. And it doesn't compile. Oh, because I didn't declare an expirate. That would be a good thing to add, actually. I'm going to go ahead and do that. By an expiration effect, what I mean is some other game object that's going to be spawned. Maybe it'll be like a particle effect and an expanding collider that deals damage. Like if I wanted to upgrade like Sara's spells so that whenever it despawns, it shatters and damages all nearby enemies, that'd be a thing. Yeah, I mean, that gives me all sorts of gameplay flexibility when working with the game. So yeah, there we go. Let's see if that works. Okay. I didn't have it, nothing stuck, so that's a good sign. Let's go ahead and change our prefab though. So this is our summon block. Nothing too special about it. Component. Then flashing decay effect. There we go. All right. So 64 over 255 is 0.25, so the initial alpha needs to be 0.25. There we go. I can do math. And that did not properly work. And the reason that didn't properly work is because I didn't reset my time. Flash equals time. So there we go. That was a key thing, but that's okay. We got this. It's just mathematics at work. Okay. So I guess a good question is what else is going wrong? So if it's greater than or equal, it's time for the next flash. So we set the next flash to, oh, that's what's wrong. Flash interval. That would do it. It's all a matter of remembering all the terms. Actually, I could probably refactor that out into a... Yeah, that's not going to happen. Okay. So there's some tuning that needs to happen. So there's going to be 3 flashes that take 1.5 seconds. That comes out to the 4.5 second interval that we had before. That way it will actually be possible with a reasonable reaction time to cross the Hall of Spikes. Let's see it happen. Okay. There we go. So 1 second flash, you regenerate mana. Okay, I sort of see where they were going with the suggestion to do that, because that is kind of helpful. I probably need to tune the... Oh, that's because I hit Z instead of using the mouse. But yeah, there we go. I do sort of see what they were saying, that timing it properly, that can work. I need to make the fade a lot less aggressive, though. I'm going to try something a little more ridiculous. It won't fade nearly fast enough to go completely transparent. And that might help this be a little bit more effective because you'll know it's always there. Or that's too fast. Oh yeah, it's a multiplier. That's right. Okay. Let's Let's try that. That's too weak. But that is oh, that's somewhat noticeable. Soup this baby up a little bit. Yeah, there we go. That's how I feel right now. I think we are onto something. All right, so that's one of the things. That actually took a lot less time than I thought it would. Let's see, what's another good thing I could do with this? I could make it play a sound effect, so that whenever like one of the counts happens, there's a little bit of auditory feedback for the player to work with. That would probably help a lot. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Audio clip. Just gonna go ahead and call it a flash sound effect. And I also need to create a private variable for the Maestro. If you're wondering what the Maestro is, it's not something native to Unity. It's another part of my my wider game framework. The whole point of the Maestro is to control sound. Right now, it's not very complex because in my project so far, I haven't had to make it more sophisticated yet, but I'm going to. And the way it works is a Maestro, if I go to it, a Maestro is a type of behavior that I like to call a manager. Pretty much what it does is it exposes a property of itself that says, I'm here. This is the instance of me that exists. Xcomega is saying, OMG, what are you doing? It's not what it looks like. Actually, it's exactly what it looks like. I am working on some slight changes to the summon block spell in my side-scrolling action platformer with RPG elements, Sara the Shieldmage. If you're curious to what I've already done, pretty much what I've done is I've created an effect that makes the block flash a few times before it fades out. What I'm doing now is I'm also adding the ability to play a sound for each of those flashes so that the player knows, okay, this thing's only going to flash so many times before it disappears. And that's what I'm going to do right about here. Oh, I'll play one shot. It's going to be... And there we go. Oh, I forgot. And if it has been specified, I need to do that. That's sort of important too. So yeah, what's going to happen, this is the flash fade method, the flash fade method. Pretty much what happens is we start up, Sara summons the object into the game scene. We take note of the current time, figure out how long it is before this item self-destructs, but we also figure out when the next flash is. And we go ahead and figure out how many flashes we have. And then every tick, we either we look at what time it is. If it's time for the next tick, we play our sound effect. We figure out when the next flash is going to be, decrement the number of flashes we have to work with, and set the target to whatever we want our initial alpha for the summon block is. Otherwise, we just fade the block and then actually set it to the material. As Unity is a 3D engine, there's actually three pieces to anything in a given scene. It has a mesh, it has a material, which has some properties, but it also has a texture. We can't. There are ways to directly mess with the texture, some of which I have access to, some of which I don't. But pretty much for most of what I'm doing with this sort of script, with this sort of interactive scripting, I'm messing with the color because it's a little bit easier of a way to do things. If I need to make it more complex, I will, but only when I need to, because this is a game and I do actually want to finish it in a reasonable amount of time. Games that don't games that are vaporware aren't really remembered, are they? So let's not worry about it. So probably another thing, it's already 9:03. It's a little early to cut the programming part short, but really I need some sound effects. I mean, I just went through all that trouble of adding the flash effect to the game, and yeah, I think it needs sounds. I'm gonna do it. How hard could it possibly be? Actually, it's not that hard at all. Um, Go ahead and create a new sound. One of the interesting things about the way I do sound effects is there's a number of ways that you can approach sound effects. Some people will do things like make random noises, like, and they'll record those, and then they'll use a system like Audacity to process that into something. Um, However, I mean, it's good up to a certain point, but there is a degree of musicality that needs to go into good sound design. One of the things that you have to remember at any given time with the sound effects that you create is that you have background music going on, you have other sound effects. You need, depending on what you're trying to do, you need it to be on a pitch that cooperates nicely with everything else that's going on from an aural sound point. AURAL, not ORAL. That's something else, not really suitable for this channel, I might add. So yeah, we just need a sound effect. Let me see, what would be a good one? Let me go with warm. So I'm going to do something. So I guess one of the other things that's worth noting is I need to think about what the keys of the music that I'm working with. In my game, sort of the keys I like to work with. I like to use C major for happy segments. I like to use D Dorian for some of the more I wouldn't call it random, some of just the more atmospheric things. I really like the Dorian mode. Anyone who was watching my last episode knows I love it. But I also like G minor for the boss fights. It has a really interesting and sinister sound. Um, Anything that has tension, I really think that G minor is good for. Uh, so that's where I'm going to start. We have our warm synth, so I'm going to do G. Actually, make that a little bit longer. I'm not really concerned about the length because there's going to be some post-processing that goes on. Alright, I think that's good enough to go on with. It's just a chord, but uh, it'll work. So while I'm waiting for things to start up, how are you all doing, stream? Are you all having a good Sunday? I look forward to your comments in the chat. That's good. All right, doing great. That's good. Oh, and you've got a little orc. Okay, that's one of the things I don't know how to do with Twitch. I am so sorry. I don't know how to do this. I'm a complete noob. I do not know how to get the awesome smileys in Twitch. It's not to the point where I would pay for the privilege, but I admit it's pretty close sometimes. Okay, there we go. You go ahead and rename this to, because we're about to do some post-processing. Actually, let me go ahead and kill off some programs. That way my frame rate doesn't stutter as much. Okay. Oh, smork. Oh, okay, so I just do... I'm going to try this in chat. I'm doing smork. Yes! Okay, cool. So it's predefined strings that do smileys. Nice. I wonder if I do... No, I'm not going to try it. I need to stick to the goal. I'm too easily distracted. I am way too easily distracted. Okay. So what I need to do is I need to first start by trimming this. I'm going to go ahead and do 1.7 to 3 seconds. I'm going to cut that. There we go. Next, I need to do an amplification. I'm only going to do it to 11, though. Oh, Crystalline Entertainment has been designing a procedurally generated scratched metal material in Blender for 3D animated web series. That sounds interesting. I'll have to check that out sometime. Oh yeah, Crystalline Entertainment. I'm curious. Do you ever do like a development blog of your own? Because for those of you watching, Crystalline Entertainment does a lot of stuff. She's studying to be, I think she's either studying or at the very least aspiring to be a screenwriter and director. But I'm wondering if you have like some sort of a public portfolio, because that'd be worth seeing, I think, and not just for me, but for everyone else. All two of us right now. Let's see, what would be good? No. Try something else. Oh, by the way, Excomega, yeah, I don't know if Crystalline Entertainment is necessarily a guy or a girl, but yeah, just be mindful that what you see online isn't al isn't always worth commenting on. Yeah, so I think we've got a good summon block fade chord here going on. Let me go ahead and export this. Only it's not a base anymore. Alright. Let's get this into our game, shall we? Sara the Shieldmage. There we go. Alright, I think we're on to something there. Alright. Let's go ahead and summon block flash effect. There we go. That will play through the maestro. Ow. That was a quick death. Alright, so that's not too bad. That's not too bad at all. I'm happy. Get some health pickups. I changed the particle effect for the health pickup too. I'm still not happy with it. I'm going to be doing some testing later in the week with an alternate particle effect for that. But yeah. So yeah, we've got some good stuff done in 45 minutes. Let me actually take a look. Oh, Crystalline Entertainment, you're a guy. Okay, my bad. I certainly hope no offense was taken, but yeah. Yeah, the thing is, the spelling of the crystalline part in your name, I think that's typically a lady's spelling of crystalline, but I guess it doesn't really matter. That might be some of my own biases coming into play there. But yeah, I'm looking forward to your development blog or development vlog or whatever. That'd be interesting to see. So yeah, there's a... Ow. Ow. Spikes hurt. Ow. I'm at half a health. Not good, not good. Oh yeah, another thing that I forgot to mention I did. I uptuned the spikes to be a little bit more damaging. Yes, some of the testers, they felt that the spikes were not quite damaging enough. So I fixed that for them. Good thing I have health pickups, huh? And an escape route. Yeah, that's another thing too, is the mid-air jump there is a little bit spoony. Actually, I probably want to... I don't know, I was thinking about maybe amplifying that sound effect down, and that's not sounding like a bad idea. Whoa, Nelly. Wrong direction. Actually, effect amplify. Let's go and amplify it a little bit. There we go, that's perfect. That's just about... That might be too soft. Oh, whatever. Okay. I think that's the old one. import. Whatever, I'm going with it. Yeah, that's a lot quieter. I like that. It needs to be subtle. It might still be too quiet. Okay. And yeah, Crystal is typically a female name. He just chose as a novel. Crap. A novel spelling of crystalline. Oh yeah, forgot. That's not some. By the way, the Z thing is not something I'm gonna be fixing right away. And Crystalline Entertainment has to go to dinner, so hope you have a good dinner, man. Okay, there we go. There we go. Cool. Okay, so that's a little better. I'm happy with that. Next thing on the agenda. Sara's running sprite. Let's take another look at that, shall we? Okay, so you can see we have 4 frames of animation going on here, and the arms are doing okay. Those aren't a problem. The legs, though, are. That's something we need to fix. By we, I mean me. So let's do that. Close spare crap. That way it doesn't kill my frame rate. Yeah, by the way, one of the things, my birthday is actually coming up pretty soon, and one of the things that I'm going to be doing is getting a new computer, and one with a much more powerful graphics card and processor. Alright. So yeah, this is something I wanted to put out there. Okay. So yeah, we have some slight problems. Right, so here's our run cycle. What's going to happen is mid-stride, extended 2, mid-stride, extended 1, mid-stride. It's sort of an asymmetrical animation. The problem is, though, that this isn't conveying well. This isn't a noticeable enough animation. So that's what we're going to fix. The way we're going to fix that, though, go ahead and start with this. I'm going to start by copying her entire leg. Paste. All right. Oh. And then for my next trick, I'm going to make it disappear. Okay. Oh, I just did that. Oopsies. Although that might not be a thing. Might not be a problem at all. Alright, cool. Oh yeah, one other important thing I need to do. Right, now I can focus on the more entertaining task. Copying this. Tools. Transform tool. There we go. Rotate 90. There we go. And because the closer leg is the one that's bent, we're going to be doing this sort of at an angle. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit more lift to the skirt there. There we go. Actually, what I might even do... Actually, no, that's good. That's good. Just going to overwrite that. And then, well, first, before we go any further, no. No, not gonna work. Actually, let's do this a little bit more safely. By the way, the reason I'm not saying anything is because I'm just looking at it. Trying to see what we could do. I mean, it's definitely noticeable enough. There is a cyclic motion to her footfalls, which is good. And because right now we're doing the right-facing animation, you can clearly see the right foot moving. The problem is that from the lifted, when the foot gets to about right here, when it's bent up, it then goes directly out to here, but there's no intervening motion frame. Now there's a few ways I could fix that. I could move the foot a little bit forward. Problem is then it would start interfering with the folds of her skirt. And that's a problem because her skirt is made of only a finite amount of material, and in order to maintain the illusion that her foot is not moving at some weird angle relative to her skirt, yeah, it's not gonna happen. Problem is, the more I look at it, the better it looks, and that's kind of dangerous. So while I'm just letting her... oh, I'm seeing the frame rate on my video right now. I am losing frame rate. What the heck? Interesting. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and yeah, go ahead and stop. And by the way, these two ugly blocks that aren't fitting, they're just temporary so I can test animations. Right, so so yeah. I mean, her boot is right meeting the seam, the bottom seam of her skirt. So that's a thing. Guess what I could do is I can go ahead and copy it. Oh yeah, that's a thing. Uh, there we go. A baby icon there, exclamagaz. That's interesting. Don't know what that means, but I hope it's good. See. Yeah, select none. Okay. Alright, I'm going to try this the other way. Let us export. How bad could it possibly be? At least both sides will be congruent. I think it may be the heel that's breaking the illusion for me, come to think about it. Because that heel is up at a weird angle. There's also another problem with the shadows in there too. Yeah, that heel's bothering me. It triggered my OCD, ladies and gentlemen. Ew. Is that the only place it's that bad? How about the idle? Okay, so her idle... Okay, so her idle frame is like this. So that's not the only place. Okay, so I'm feeling good about this now. So maybe the problem... Okay, not maybe. The problem is this isn't a thing. But this is... I'm going to do that. All right. And for good measure, I'm going to do the same thing down here. No, not like that. There we go. Alrighty. That doesn't look nearly as distracting. Let's do that to the others. Let's go ahead and export. And then we'll do the same thing here. Oh. And if this looks like the exact same thing just done the opposite direction, well, it sort of is. I could have probably done it more efficiently by just copying her boot, from the area from the skirt down a little bit, from the hem of the skirt down, and that probably would have made this a little bit easier, but I didn't. And that's a thing. Okay. But that's something I can always go back and solve later. Okay, so there we go. So run right, right foot down. Finally fixed her heel so that it doesn't look like it's about to snap off due to inertia. See how bad it is. Yes, that actually looks a lot better. That looks a heck of a lot better, ladies and gentlemen. All right, I think that works. That works well. That works so well, I want to see it in motion. And that's how I feel right now, ladies and gentlemen. There are some other imperfections in her sprite. That was the one that was bothering me the worst. It still has a little bit of edginess and jaggedness to it, and there's some things I could do to resolve that. I might need to move the position of her raised foot a little bit forward. That'll probably help with it quite a bit so that we'll get a more circular motion to her gait. That'll also require making sure the skirt comes up a little bit in the front where her upper leg and knee are displacing it, and then making the part here hug the posterior a little bit better. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that helps a whole lot. That looks 100. Just that one little change makes this run cycle look a lot better than it did. Okay. And I know some of you are wondering to yourself, as Vardual, why don't you color the sprite? Well, I'm not quite done with the animations, and whenever you're working with sprites, you don't want to color things in immediately. The reason I have the gray for the things that are on the side that's not immediately facing the camera. It's more of an animation guide than anything else. 9 times out of 10, when I'm pixeling, that the darker shade sides are going to use the shadow color a lot more than the sides that are closer to the camera. Um, yeah, so that's good. That's also a lot of the stuff I really wanted to do on camera. Huh. Well, I guess this would be a good time to go to my audience. So this broadcast, you've seen me do the flash effect on the blocks. You've seen me um, create a sound effect. You've seen me do a run cycle, or fix a run cycle, I should say. What else would you like to see? I'm going to leave this one to you, audience. Because actually, that was more than what I had planned to do for this entire episode, and we've still got about 20 minutes before I'm gonna hang up the curtain. So, what would you like to see? Do you want more code? Do you want some music? Do you want sound effects? There's all sorts of things that I could do in the given amount of time. What would you like? We can also jam out like rappers. I mean, that's a thing too. Where are the enemy? Ex Comiga asks, where are the enemies? Funny that you should mention that. I have not yet added enemies to the game. Part of it is because I haven't designed how Sara's spellcasting mechanics are going to work in a combat scenario. I've been pushing all kinds of ideas with that around. Like one of the ideas I had is that summon block has a damage trigger beneath it that you can just sort of drop it onto a. And actually, you know what? That's something I was going to have to do sooner or later, and I can do it for you guys on camera. So first we need to do some things. First we need enemies. This is just going to be a empty that contains my enemies. Nothing special. We're going to create a generic test enemy. There we go. Let's go and give it a health controller. Where's my monster death effect? Could sworn I had one. I didn't bring that over from the hero's journey. That's rather interesting. Okay, well, you know what? That'll work. Let's go ahead and create a sprite for this, though. And it needs to have certain things in order to be an enemy. First, we need to have a quad for it. Next, our generic test enemy needs to actually align to the grid. And we're going to make this enemy be a test player. Why not? I haven't actually created any concepts for any enemies. So here's the story. Sara is now jealous of this random NPC. So we're gonna try some things like dropping blocks on her head. It all makes sense in context. Trust me. And I think Crystalline Entertainment just came back at a awkward time. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and create a very basic enemy, except that it's not really going to matter too much. So one of the things that I want to do is give it some HP. I'm going to give it 1 heart worth of HP. Let's see, effect, damage effect. Alright, so that's going to be the damage effect. Let me go ahead and save this to a prefab. I'm just going to call this a test enemy for right now. I'm actually going to spin it into actually being something. Excomagaz, them grills be crazy. Yeah, they do. Okay. So here we go. We've got a basic enemy with 4 HP, absolutely no AI to speak of. Character controller. Let me move that up. Let me move that up. I'm very OCD when it comes to how my components are arranged. And it's not because I'm being a spoony developer, it's because I actually have reasons that I want a particular component to be where it is. It helps me develop. Okay, height is 5. I think that's similar to what I have for Sara. 0.25, 0.95, right. How about Sara's box trigger? 0.6, 1.1, 0.6. There we go. Apply. Alright, so we've got a health controller. But there's not a whole lot to this basic enemy just yet. See? I'm beating you up with my shoes. Yeah. Can't even properly... Just drop a block on you already. Yeah, see, it's not really doing a whole lot. We haven't coded like anything that will actually damage the... that'll actually damage an enemy. So there's a few things I could do, and this is actually getting into the stuff that I really haven't even designed yet. Assuming I even want to be able to drop blocks on opponents and it have any effect whatsoever, something I'm still not sure I want to do, what's the correct behavior? Should the block persist? Should it drop the block, damage them, and then explode? Or whenever the block makes contact with an enemy, should it cause it to explode? These are all gameplay questions. Some things might make more sense than others. Some things might not make sense, period. And it's a tough decision, and one that ideally I would not want to make on camera. That's another good question that comes out of this too is how many humanoid opponents am I actually going to have? Because this sort of setup here for the generic test enemy, um, it fits a humanoid-sized opponent, an opponent that takes up one block of vertical space just about perfectly. I mean, Sarah's a little bit taller than her, but that's also by virtue of the fact that Sarah has a much bigger sprite actually. Sarah has a 128 by 128 texture on a 2 by 2 quad. This little generic test enemy here, if I expand her sprite, has a 64 by 64 sprite on a 1 by 1 quad. And that's actually going to limit what I can do as far as this theoretical enemy's animations. I mean, maybe I want this to have a walk cycle and then pull a sword out or a hammer out of Hammerspace and try to whack the player on the head or something. You know, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, since you guys asked for enemies, I guess that's something I can go ahead and put on my list for development this week. Is try to develop a basic enemy that is defeatable easily with summon block in some way. That will require me to properly design summon block to not just be a defensive or utility spell, but also have some offensive ability. Excuse me. And I could turn to you, the audience, for that, but I also feel at this point that that falls outside of things I should be asking you guys for. Because I mean, yeah, I did ask you guys for things to do on camera, but I shouldn't ask you to do my design work for me. That's not quite correct. So what to do? What to do? 9:49. I know. Let's see. Sarah player control. That's just the control interface. Where's the side-scrolling movement? There we go. That way our test enemy can move around in the same way that the player does. I can start writing some AI. Right, so I guess one of the things that I could write for artificial intelligence. Actually, let's go ahead and let me talk briefly about what I've uncovered with artificial intelligence in my last project. Pretty much the way I like to do artificial intelligence is to create a bunch of components that do things, and then have sort of a central entity script that ties all of those behaviors together. I'm wondering how I want to do that because what I wound up doing in my last project for some of the final bosses of the game was I wound up just creating a whole bunch of components, and that wasn't really easy to read. I worry about that. Another thing to bear in mind about artificial intelligence is it sounds intelligent, but what you're actually coding is artificial stupidity. It's just pre-designated responses to things that the player is doing. Now, the point of game AI is not to win. Be mindful of that. The point of video game AI is to lose in a challenging and fun way. Very important thing to remember. Problem is, can't make it too easy, can't make it too hard. Xcomigax, one component with multiple classes. That's an interesting idea. I think you are onto something. So tell you what. So here's what we're going to do. Artificial intelligence behaviors are a way of controlling inputs and tying those inputs to mannerisms. Let's go ahead and start this up. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it tonight because there's only 8 minutes remaining in the broadcast. Let's go ahead and clear out these default contents and make this into a debuggable behavior. In my experience with artificial intelligence, you can never, ever underestimate having a good setup for debugging behaviors. Now, some of this also gets into a little bit of design that I haven't yet done too, because there's a few different ways that you could write the behaviors for any given enemy. One of the ways I like to do for just sort of a rank and file MOOC is I like to, well, first I need to use generic collections, not generic, generic, there we go. I like to have a private list of actually, I think it's a dictionary. Yeah. I also need an enumeration. Might need more than one, but we'll see. We need some way to denote state is one of the things it comes to. So we have idle and we have active. It's a very simple thing. It's either just sort of loafing around, minding its own business, or it's trying to do something. We don't know. So the key is going to be a generic test enemy state, and the value is going to be a action. Actually, I need to use system in that case. So one of the cool things you can do in C# is C# has relatively recently taken some pains to become more of what's called a functional programming language. That means that you can return and use functions as values. It might not seem like a big thing, but believe me, as someone who has done a lot of procedural and object-oriented programming, most of my active career so far actually, it's a big deal. Actually, no, that's not how we do this. No, but that will be useful. That will be useful. My bad. So we need action. So we need a func that returns a boolean. So this might look a little bit funny. And it might be a little bit funny. But it's a thing. This has to be public then. This is also going to change some of how we write this class compared to anything I've ever written, ever shown you that I've written before, I should say. Um, region conditions. And what? Oh, because I'm missing a semicolon. Okay. Yeah, Mono has a bad habit of acting up when you don't code stuff right. So I'm going ahead and putting the mannerisms here for right now. What's going to wind happening is I'm going to actually refactor out those mannerisms to a different class, like Xcomega X is had mentioned a few minutes ago. And these conditions are all going to be this func bool. Now this might look a little bit on the scary side. I promise you it isn't. So states equals dictionary bool action So I'm going to go ahead and create just a very basic behavior. So this is going to be private void, no, public bool can see player. Then the mannerism So here's how this is going to work. We're going to create a new key value pair, which is going to be can see player. Now note that I'm not writing the parentheses. That's very important, because when you don't write the parentheses, you're actually working with the pointer to the method you wrote. And of course, we're going to do the same thing. Loaf about. There we go. And then public void update. Action state. So we can do if state.key return state.value. We can do something like that. So yeah, this is sort of the basics of how a state machine AI works. We pretty much define a whole bunch of conditions and behaviors. If a condition is met, then I guess I should say continue, then break. There we go. That's much. Oh, sorry about that. That's much more. That's much more easy to work with. We just go down the list until we find something that works, and then we do it, and then we worry about the next frame. And it's 10:01, so yeah, I think that's probably a good place to leave off. I guess before I go, yeah, I've shown you guys a whole heck of a lot tonight. I'm gonna have a lot of fun breaking out the highlights for Twitch. Yeah, I certainly hope you guys have enjoyed this. This was actually a really fun episode. I never thought just having to pull things to do out of thin air would be so fun, but it is. So yeah, next week, about this time, I'm not. I can't promise that I'm gonna have done anything with the combat system in this game. I haven't designed it. I need to do my homework on actually writing a story, and I have the material to do said homework, so I can do that and then start. When I have a better idea of what I'm doing, I can actually talk to Crystalline Entertainment and get some constructive criticism. Yeah. Has this, I guess the only remaining question, Twitch, has this been of any use to you? Look forward to your reply. That means I'm waiting for Twitch to lag enough that I can see what you type back. Other than that, I mean, well, I guess while I'm waiting for your reply, yeah, I mean, I'm just going to be doing another round of playtesting with the Game Jolt and Unity communities. Going to let them see the upgraded prototype and see what I've done since the last session and on stream with you guys. I think the run cycle animation is pretty seriously improved. I think it's got a ways that it could be better. Um, but I'm actually not too worried about that. I think that that was some good stuff that got done on that tonight. Uh, I need to create more sound effects. I sort of showed you guys the general way I go about creating sound effects. I can do more of those off screen. There's a lot more sound effects I need to create. Uh, add some more music. Maybe I could get started on another level in the game. That would actually probably be a very good idea. Um, I could also probably start working on some alternative spike sprites because sort of just having these random metal spikes in a big old cave, it just doesn't seem right somehow. See, Crystalline Entertainment said interesting stuff, and I appreciate that. Glad that was able to be of some help. Uh, yeah, and I guess if that's everything, I guess I could go ahead and end the stream for the night. And I guess I'll just wish you guys a happy rest of the week. I'll see you at same bad time, same bad place, 8:30 p.m. Central Time. I broadcast every Sunday at that time, and things sometimes even get as interesting as they have been tonight, ladies and gentlemen. So I hope you've enjoyed this live stream, and you can always catch my broadcasts. I create highlights on Twitch. I also save these to my YouTube account, so you can find that from my Twitch page. If you give a like and subscribe, it's much appreciated. Really helps. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for giving some good feedback tonight. And I guess I'll be seeing you all next week. Until then, have a great evening. Later.